Well, I am so glad that you are listening to Talking with Tad today and that you're actually opening up Tad Talks. But I do hope that you're sharing this information with others because this is about being informed, understanding what's going on. We've interviewed candidates. Maybe you've never met them. I had a girlfriend that said, Tony Ann, because you interviewed him, I'm voting for Judge David Newell. That's the important thing, is getting the message out and then engaging and knowing what to do and how to do it. And today, no better person than the chairwoman of the Republican National Hispanic Assembly, right here from Texas, but she is the national chairwoman, is going to share her story, how she got involved, what she's been doing, how she's been making a difference in a short period of time. So you always have that opportunity, no matter when it is, to start engaging, and this is the best time to do it. So let me please introduce to you our guest speaker today, and a person that is just such a go-getter, a grassroots person, and that is Betty Cardenas. So Betty, welcome. We're so glad to have you on, and we just would love to hear your story.
Well, thank you, Tony. Thank you, Tony Ann, for inviting me and for having me here with TAD Talks. It's something that I've been looking forward to. I know we've been going back and forth on trying to schedule a day. I'm so happy you have this initiative and you're reaching out, especially for Texas, and getting to know more about candidates and what's happening in Texas. So thank you. I'm honored to be here, and having me. I'm just honored to be here with you.
Well, it is truly an honor. So, we were just chit-chatting a little bit before we started the recording. Betty, you originally were born in Mexico. Tell me a little bit of how that transition came, where you've done, what you've done, and where you're at today.
Yes, well, I was born in Mexico, and my parents brought me to United States, to actually Lubbock. Here's where I live, in Lubbock, Texas, West Texas area.
Right.
Beautiful, beautiful. I love my West Texas. And so I was brought here at 6 months old. And later on during the years for college, I decided to go to Mexico and study in a private Christian university in Mexico. And I got to learn more about the culture one-on-one while I lived there. And I also worked with the governor, the mayor. I traveled with them everywhere, all over the country and other places of the world, because I was a translator for them while I was studying as well. And for internal affairs, if they would go and they needed a translator, they would call me up and I would go and help them with everything that they needed as far as translation. And that's how I got involved, and I saw how beautiful the country of Mexico is and what it offers. But I was always missing home, and to me, home is here. It's America. It's my Texas. Coming back from Mexico, and I still see it now. We fly in mostly, but when we used to drive or come in a bus or it was many different ways. I remember the first time I went to Mexico, I was 7 years old, and it was on a mission trip. It was probably one of the worst trips ever, the worst one in my whole entire life. When you have that experience that the worst thing happens the first time you try it, well, that was me. I was really excited to go to Mexico, 7 years old, and it was a missionary trip. And on our way back, I was so looking forward to being back in America. And when I saw that flag in the air, and as we were pulling up to the border of Juarez and El Paso, I just started crying, because that flag represented security, it represented home, it represented safety. It was God and America together. And that's what my parents have always taught me, that we could never separate America and God. They were combined. And that's what got me into politics, and into the beautiful party of the Republican Party, which is basically the platform it's like, if you got a Mexican, Hispanic, wherever we are from, we come from different parts of the world. And you just get our values, and you just need to name it, and you say, well, their values are Republican. That's who they are, because it represents our values, the Republican Party. And that's where I started getting involved.
Well, and you have, I know, have done so much. I mean, that is an incredible story. I love that part of seeing the American flag and just
Yes.
knowing that was home, but willing to experience and something in another country, and basically your home country. But you couldn't, that first part of going to college, though, when you were there and really got into it, that gives you that opportunity to have an open mind. And I love that story. That's sweet. And the 7-year-old, when you see the American flag, oh, that's pretty cool. Well, tell me some of the things that you have been involved in the grassroots, and how does that relate to or translate to people listening, and how they can get involved?
Sure. Well, I got involved with the president's campaign in 2016 when he was running for office here in Texas. I just felt the need of helping him with the Latino vote. What was being said in the news, actually, unfortunately, Tony Ann, what happens in regular news, CNN, and what we see out there is exactly what we're seeing in Spanish news. And so I was seeing how unfair it was and what was happening, and if Hillary was to win, where this country was heading. So I decided to take a break from what I was doing and just dedicate to the president's campaign in 2016. In 2018, I was blessed to be elected as the national chairwoman for the Republican National Hispanic Assembly. So what this organization is, it's basically the RNC. That's what we are. We are the GOP. We were formed by the RNC back in 1967. And it's like an arm to the RNC, reaching out to the Hispanic community. We bridge them over, and we work side by side. We're all over the country. We're in from one side to the other. My time frame, my husband says, okay, can you put a schedule to your hours? I'm like, I can't, because with the time in California is not the same. Puerto Rico, I have from Puerto Rico. We have a beautiful chapter in Puerto Rico also. And so having them involved and having the Hispanic community get involved with the party, but also bridge them over to the GOP, looking at the candidates, block walking for the candidates, grassroots, working with our state Republican chairmen is so important for us. And because there's some things, it's a big deal. Like here in Texas, it's a big deal for our chairman, Alan West. I was telling him, you have a big state. And so he relies on some of the help for us for the Hispanic outreach. And we are more than happy to help. And we've just been growing. Hispanics have been joining the organization. I can't even explain how beautiful it feels, the growth that we have had within just 2 years that we took over. It's been over 600, almost 600% of growth. And the Hispanics are joining, and that's what has me very excited.
Nice.
I know the polls are saying something different, but I feel that Hispanics are going to come out stronger this year for the president. And that's what the Republican Party is.
And you know what that is? We're welcoming them in. I mean, let's talk a little bit about all these Trump trains, especially the one that was in Laredo, how many days ago, and then what they're doing. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So I get invited. There's so many organizations and movements being formed, especially closer to the elections. And so we get invited to Trump rallies, Trump trains, and if I could go to all of them, I would be there. But if we have representatives in that area, they definitely show up. Our chapters will show up. We also have Blexit movement, Lexit is the largest social media outreach that we have for Latino. It means Latino exit, kind of like Blexit,
Right.
Candace Owens. This is Latino exit. And it's more of a straightforward, very raw approach. Like, this is what's happening. This is what the left is doing. And so they help us a lot with these rallies in these areas. And we're just working together, and we're here to work with every organization that is from county, city. If they call us, they invite us, we have representatives there. And if my schedule allows it, we'll be there.
Well, I know that you are everywhere, but it is so true. To the Laredo, they had like 7,000 plus between vehicles and people in the vehicles, people on the street, waving the flags. And now they're going to do it again. And if I'm not mistaken, it's on October 10th. And they have got surrogates coming in. I think there's just a number of named people that are going to be attending that one down there, but they're happening everywhere. And I'm glad you brought up Lexic because, I was talking to the gal that I work with, and Maria was telling me, she goes, Tony Ann, you have to have a counter to the Hispanic radio because they're saying these nasty things about President Trump and they're not true. And that's what you're doing. And the Lexit allows that to happen. And I know that Duke Machado he's working on that. So those are all of this is what's going to counter and put the real truth out there. Wouldn't you say that that's the case?
Definitely, definitely. Duke Machado is so talented. We're so blessed to have him on board with us. And we've been working on a game plan, not just for Texas, but nationwide. We need to get this message out, and we're doing it through social media. We're promoting our posts. We are getting the information out and correctly, the truth, something that is very important for us. But I think, Laredo is something that is so important because it's Laredo. Like, who would think a Trump train in Laredo, in a border city right there where no way possible. However, they are there. We are everywhere, and we just need to go and support them. And Lexit, that's something that Duke has also. He's participating in this. He's helping out with the grassroots, but also telling them, hey, this is the truth. Interviewing real people, going to the community, meeting them where they're at, and just becoming friends with the community. That's what we're doing. And Lexit is a great organization that is doing what others, politicians are sometimes real busy, other organizations, but Lexit is going out there. We're putting that message across.
Well, I love that. And I mean, that goes back to sharing and to stepping up, not being afraid to share your opinion. Be respectful, but being able to share but know the truth. Don't make something up. Make it truthful, right? So
yes.
I mean, just all this information and going to your website, sharing that with people. Every single person makes a difference. Now, you know what, Betty, we're starting to wrap this up. We've been on, it's hard to believe, already 10 minutes or so. And the thing is what we do at the end of all of Talking with Tads is that we share something fun, a fun fact from the person that is our star for the day with you. So what is your fun fact for today?
Well, Tony Ann, my fun fact, it's really not fun, but it's kind of embarrassing, but it's something that me as a mother, I just loved it. But I was one of those PTA moms, the PTA moms that sometimes were too involved. That was me. I had right now, at a moment, sometimes I think it was in 2016, 2015, I had a son in high school, one in middle school, and one in elementary. And I would be that PTA mom that was involved in everything they would do, the booster club mom, the one that would be very, very much more involved in what they should. And my husband would always say, okay, I think you're just a little bit too involved. And it was just something that was so important for me to get to know, and something for the Latinos to know, and the Hispanic community to know, that the involvement of parents within your children and the community and the schools, get to know their teachers, get to know their peers. And I mean, my kids, I have 3 boys, and so all of their friends had my cell phone number. I would give it to them. I'm like, hey, here's my cell phone number if anything happens or anything. But I was that mom that was very, very involved, and I still am. I have one more in middle school. So I was very involved with the kids, and that PTA mom, that annoying PTA mom that would call you and say, hey, we have this activity and we have this going on. That was me. That was me.
Well, I believe that. And I do see your Facebook posts, so I do know that you're very involved with those children. And it is incredible, so impressive of everything that you do. Betty, thank you for taking the time today and being here and being involved and making a difference in so many parts of our community and our nation. I really do appreciate you, and you are awesome, and I love working with you, and thank you again for being a part of Talking with Tad.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Tony, and for inviting me. And it's an honor to know you. You are paving the way for all the female Republicans that are there, that are going in there. It's difficult to sometimes put your family, you know, you have family, you have it, some of us have a job, a career, and then getting involved in this and seeing you, you are such a role model to all of us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, thank you all for listening to the very end. Please, again, share. Let's make a difference. We have less than 40 days until the election. So we've got to work hard, just as Betty does. Thank you again. We'll see you next week.